Japan has approved a $1 trillion budget for the next fiscal year. It's a record high for the ninth year in a row. The increased spending is fueling concern over the ailing economy, which has taken another hit because of the pandemic. Michio Ishida reports.
1/3 of the fiscal year 2021 budget will be spent on social welfare, rising 0.4%. Japan is a fast-aging society with 28.9% of the population over the age of 65. Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga is especially keen to subsidize infertility treatment to address Japan's low birth rate and to expand childcare facilities. He plans to open a digital agency in September, hire 500 workers, and also promote digitalization in schools, including digital textbooks and online learning. Defense spending rises 9 years in a row to a record of $51.7 billion. It's a 1.1% increase. It will include the cost to develop missiles that can be fired from destroyers or fighter jets, and to build the next generation fighter jet. It's on the back of a complex regional security environment with tensions on the Korean Peninsula and China increasing its maritime presence and military might. Now, the 5-year host nation agreement for the U.S. military bases expires next March, and U.S. President Donald Trump is expected to ask for a significant increase. With the transition underway in the U.S., a quick agreement is unlikely, so Japan's decided to set aside the current level of $1.9 billion a year. To deal with COVID-19, $48.5 billion will be allocated. The concern is a big jump of new issuance of government bonds for the first time in 11 years. It will be worth $423 billion. The Finance Ministry says tax income is 9.5% less than this year. Corporate earnings have been hurt by COVID-19, and the government already dished out 3 extra budgets to deal with the pandemic. Japan's national debt is now over 200% of its GDP, or the worst among industrialized countries. It forecasts the economy to contract 5.2% this fiscal year and rebound to a 4% growth in fiscal 2021. Michio Ishida, CNA, Tokyo.
And Martin Schulz joins us for a closer look. He is the Chief Policy Economist at the Fujitsu Research Institute. Well, Martin, first up, any surprises from this budget?
Not really. The budget is basically tied to social security, to overall security, to debt, interest rate payments, and so on. The real surprise came earlier with this additional supplementary budget, which is also about 6% GDP coming in supporting the economy. This is where the stimulus money is flowing and what will support the economy next year.
Yeah, a large chunk is going to be funded by Japan's already sky-high debt. So at this rate, how likely is it going to, face a credit downgrade?
Well, the numbers are huge. 41% of the budget is going, is being financed by additional debt. About 20% overall has to be just put into interest rate payments. So this is big. But the actual situation on the ground is the yen is stronger. Overall inflation is dropping. It's deflation again. So that there will be a downgrade of Japanese public debt is very, very unlikely. This is all financed by the Bank of Japan, and the Bank of Japan is actually eager to put more funds into the economy. So there is no squeeze on the government side at all currently.
Yeah, so on that note, BOJ, well, they say that, they're reviewing the monetary easing policy after holding rates steady. So what do you think some of the new tools are? What could they be using to mitigate any potential side effects of this prolonged easing?
Well, the Bank of Japan overall, in terms of emergency funding, $1.2 trillion. This is really, really big what the Bank of Japan is doing. About half of it is spent. The rest will be upgraded next year. It is expanded towards September next year because the economy will recover, but overall recovery will take some time. Vaccination will start in March in Japan. So until the overall economy is going, the government is financing it, and the Bank of Japan is supporting with zero interest credit.
Yeah, and also speaking of recovery, well, the government, they've raised the growth forecast to 4% for next year. Do you think this is realistic?
The overall economy will rebound, as in much of Asia. The bigger problem is not 2021, it's 2022, to get the economy moving in the longer term again. As you have pointed out, it's a slow growing, aging society. So now the important point is getting it going for the future. And this is where the government is actually putting a lot of new funds into. That's digitalization that helps tremendously, green growth, net zero emissions by 2050. But starting now in terms of implementation, this is new, and we hope quite a bit that the economy is becoming much more productive next year with new initiatives.
Yeah, Martin, regionally, China, has staged a big recovery from this pandemic fallout. Could this trickle down to Japanese businesses in the meantime?
Well, that was the hope. The Chinese economy is already doing so much better growth, and Asia is basically stable. The supply chains are secure and working well. But when we look at the export numbers in November, this is really a test on terms of optimism. What we have seen is that exports have been much slower than we were hoping for. When we are looking at the US, what's happening in terms of the virus situation right now, and in Europe, growth in Asia will not be enough. And in particular in Japan, machinery, production materials are so very important. These only come with a delay after consumer spending is really back. So in terms of exports, we will have a slow start. That means the domestic economy needs to grow, and this is why the government budgets are so important right now.
All right, thank you so much. Martin Schulz there from the Fujitsu Research Institute.